Welcome to Human Design Playtime, the show that discusses the highest potential and the lowest shadows of ourselves and our playmates. We use ourselves as examples and take some bold liberties to discuss public figures, even the celebrities we love to hate. Bring your open mind and a sense of humor. Who knows? We may be talking about you.
Welcome to episode 5 of Human Design Playtime. Today we are going to discuss random things and Jim Carrey.
We love him.
Totally love him. I have loved him for a long time. It's interesting because as he's aged, he has definitely changed a lot, and I think that his design will show that. Ace Ventura was one of my very favorite movies of all times. Like, alrighty then.
Of course, I remember him bending over, making his pants talk. Like, oh, and then everybody did that. Oh,
Yeah, and you've been like in the comedy world for a long time where I'm just a normal human. So when I watched his documentary the other night, it was cool because they talked about how he was kind of a trendsetter for taking comedy from just the stage into movies.
his face is so incredible, like with his expressions. He somehow got that to translate into film. I never saw him in person, and I've always been a comedy fan and only started doing comedy professionally a couple years ago. But like, it's him. He and his crazy facial, he can make his face look like anybody he wants. He's really a chameleon.
He really is, and when you look at, let's see, which way do I go here? When you look at his design, he has a lot of openness, which where we are open in our design, that's where we take in and either, we have the ability to amplify or distort the energy of others. But I see for him that he's used this ability to pick up the collective energy and really morph it. They talk about the open throat really being able to have a lot of different variety whenever they speak, but I can see like his whole identity shifts and everything. It's really very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, he is a master of sound and expression, and his body can do anything too. And you're right, that open throat, um, and knowing when the right timing is and being able to mimic and go beyond anything. That's the cool thing about those open centers is they're not fixed or defined. They're not reliable in what's going to come out. But they can be more masterful than somebody who has a defined throat.
Yeah, they can have more tone,
Range.
sound,
Tone.
range. Yes.
Yeah.
All the things, all the things.
Well, what else do you see in his chart, Tammy? Can I throw in our disclaimer? He's
Yeah.
not our client. He didn't pay us. We don't know his exact information and birth data, but we're going from the best that we can find from the internet. And so with more precision in the information we have, then we can give a better reading. But this is what we're going with, and it may not be completely accurate, but it'll be accurate for someone who's born at this time at this place. And
Right? So
and it
if you
could
were
change.
born on January 17th, 1962 in Canada at 2:30 a.m., this is your chart.
Right. So we could be talking about you. If this is you, settle in, grab a pen, take some notes.
Yeah, and for those of you that this isn't your birth time, but you have some openness or you have some of the traits or the one strength, he only has that one strength, which is about mutation. And I would definitely see that we have seen him mutate throughout the years.
Yeah. He's got that Dolly Parton. We did Dolly Parton's chart a few weeks ago, and she has that one of those three formatting channels, the center one, the individual, the passion, the sound, auditory. Very interesting. The pulse, right? It comes, it goes, it's there or it's not.
Yes. Yeah. And, he changes people. Like that's one of the gifts of that one strength of mutation is that people around him will go through some changes. Now he has a lot of first line qualities. So his profile is a 1-3, which is a authority pioneer. The third line is learning through trial and error. So that's a big part of who he is, and the one investigating. He probably does a lot of investigation for the roles that he's in. Watched his documentary last night, and they said that with Ace Ventura that he actually essentially co-wrote that. So he did a lot of that improvisation, like changing things for that script.
That's great that he got creative license to do that.
And I think that that was the movies that he enjoyed the most were the ones that he really got to bring more of that into, and some of the movies that he maybe didn't enjoy as much, he didn't have as much creative freedom. And I kept hearing him say in some of the interviews that, you know, he doesn't know what the future brings, but he knows that he will always be creative. And I think that you had pulled together like a little blurb or something that you,
Yeah, like a bio.
yeah.
He was born in Ontario, Canada, and he worked hard to make his sick mother laugh and find joy. So those were the early beginnings of his comedic talents. By the age of 15, he was doing stand-up comedy. He left school to work as a janitor to help support his family. And by 19, he was making a living as a professional comedian. That's a big deal. And he has, oh, incredible. He opened for comics like Buddy Hackett and Rodney Dangerfield. And so many people know him from his early appearances in Earth Girls Are Easy and his first TV special, that An Unnatural Act. I know him from In Living Color from the 90s, that innovative sketch comedy show. Oh, I loved it. Fire Marshal Bill. Oh, he's great. Ace Ventura, The Mask, The Truman Show, and I loved Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And he's done some really like deep, dark pieces in addition to the comedic work. He's truly talented. And in his later years, he's known for his personal spiritual work, his visualization techniques that he's talked about, and his transcendental meditation practice. An advocate for cleaner, greener vaccines, and his newfound love for painting, like creative, like you mentioned. He's always being an artist of some kind. He got into the visual arts painting in 2010 or 2011. I mean, he's a hero of mine. I know we all love him, and so many people, you know, cut their cloth from watching him, but nobody's like him.
Nobody's,
So
yeah.
like him. Would you share that story about the check?
Yes. So whenever he was in Hollywood, he had written himself a $10 million check payable for services rendered, and he just knew that one day that he would receive that kind of a payment. But I believe at the time he was homeless. He was living out of his car. Now, that is something that I had heard several years ago in the documentary that I watched. They actually talked about that when he was a kid, that his whole family was homeless for about a month, and he would go to school during the day, and at night all of the kids would come and they would work 8-hour shifts in this factory cleaning when he was, you know, pretty young.
Wow. So that visualization, he just went up and said, I'm going to get this someday. I'm going to get it.
Yeah. And I think what it was, which movie? I can't remember which movie he got a $20 million. He was like considered the $20 million man for different movies, but it was actually a movie he didn't have a lot of creative control over. And I think that it wasn't as popular as some of the others. I can't remember what it was. I didn't take notes when I was watching it. I should have taken notes. I also have an open mind. And if I don't write things down, I can't necessarily remember.
Did you ever see The Cable Guy? It was a pretty
That was
dark.
it. That was the movie. That was the
Ah,
movie that he got paid 20 million. Thank you for that. That's the
really?
one.
Okay. That was a pretty dark movie. That was dark comedy.
Hmm.
We all
Yes.
sat in our seats going, what is happening?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was a big transition from the type of comedy that he had done, more that slapstick type, into more of a darker comedy. And people didn't embrace it as much as was hoped.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting how much openness he has. And like you mentioned before we started recording, you mentioned something about his business traits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has a lot of business traits. So when you're looking at like small groups traits, you're looking inside the what's called the penta. And so that is these 12 traits that are from here up. So if you can see, I don't know, probably
Yeah.
can't see what I'm doing. Here in the middle, that it connects the throat to the identity to the energy resource. So the top energy resource, the bottom of the communication and action, and then the top and bottom of the identity center. So those functions or traits come together to create business skills. So the skills that he has is implementation.
Mhm.
So detailed networking is a big part of that. I would say that, getting his opportunities through his network have been part of his success too. The seven, which is about planning, and he has a leadership determination there. He's accounting, detailed networking there, and potential marketing, leadership determination. So he has three traits there in the accounting, which is the 13. And then commitment, leadership determination, detailed networking, and leadership determination. So also three traits in commitment, which is the 29.
Right on. Thank you for sharing that.
I would say the one thing that I noticed the most about him though is all of the openness that he has, like seven functions undefined. That would be like picking up a lot of energy from other people. One of the things that I noticed too is a lot of his traits are what's called abstract sharing traits. And so those are very cyclical, where you don't understand what's going on until it's finished. So it's like sharing your insight from your past experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And all these centers are, oh, I have 6 centers open. He has 7,
Mhm.
um, which is the most centers you can have open before you turn into a reflector.
But he's a generator, so
Yep.
he's here to have like sustainable energy. But I do still wonder, even as a generator, that sustainable energy when you're picking up so much energy from so many people. I've seen some of his later interviews throughout the years where he is kind of going through more of his spiritual awakening and questioning so many things. And I would say that's because he's feeling it. I mean, we're seeing as a society a lot of the downfall that's happening in Hollywood, but I feel like there's been a lot of people that have been talking about that and how much openness, how much he would have felt all of the things that were not healthy in Hollywood. I would be curious to have a kind of that conversation with him.
A really good example for that would be like, have you seen those clips on YouTube of it was a long time ago, but when Cameron Diaz and Chris Isaacs were presenting an award together, um, Jim Carrey and everybody else were in the audience. Well, Chris Isaacs on live TV was manhandling Cameron Diaz, kept trying to kiss her, touch her. She was pushing him off, but trying to be polite because she knew they were both on camera, live, not to be edited later. And he went in for a kiss. I mean, it was just, she was clearly going like, no, no, no. And there's a shot of Jim Carrey in the audience slinking down in his chair and going, mm-hmm. And then when he went on stage to accept an award, he forcibly kissed Chris Isaacs because he had done that to Cameron Diaz of like, that's a responder. he responded immediately in his chair of like, oh, he's not getting away with this. And he went up and did something about it. Like
Mm,
that's quite a response. Uh,
yeah. That
yeah.
was you don't do that in here. Let me show you.
Yes, that's my friend, my co-star, like, no, 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 no. And
Mm.
so I just thought that was an interesting example of like he's really sensing the situation, and then he had a body response to what was happening, and then he took action on it.
I love that. I love that.
I was going to say about the openness for the head at the very top
Mhm.
and the ajna center or the, thinking center. Yeah, those areas of like he finds so many ideas fascinating. Like everything is so interesting. What should I do? What should I follow? Which is 70% of us. Uh,
Yeah, and he has the 61, which is about inner truth. And that is, he has it a couple times, it looks like. Inner truth, that can be in the not self, can feel a little bit like psychosis. It's this like wondering why, why did this happen? Why is this? And I don't, there's just no answer to why. I have the 61 in my future, in my North Node.
oh,
And when I was shifting from into that, it was during a really hard time. And I was like, I felt like I was in a little bit of psychosis of why is this happening? No, like what, in trying to make sense of things that you just can't make sense of. Like there's just some things in life that don't make sense. And then we drive ourselves insane by trying to figure it out. You
yeah.
just have to be accept that there is no, that you'll never know why, and move forward.
Mm. Hey, that's perfect. So you have the 61, I have the 24 at the other end.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
that's my like life's theme of the rationalization of going over it and over it and over it and over it until I get my mental answer. And
Mm.
that's me. I have friends who go like, why are you still thinking about that? That was 20 years ago. That was 30 years ago. I'm like, I'm not done. Like I'll be done. I know when I'm done. I can put that to bed. I can just put that subject to bed when I'm done. Oh, right. So that's both of us right there.
This is us together. So this is what she's talking about, and this is the creative channel. And the thing that Jan and I noticed this in our last podcast just a little bit is sometimes because we have that connection, but it's not connected, so it makes us a split. Janet and I naturally independently assimilate. Like we process things very quickly. But sometimes when we're together, the ideas are coming and they're flowing, but we can't speak them. And I noticed it just a couple times. Actually, today a little bit it's happened, but a couple times in our last podcast. And I was like, that's so interesting. But it's a very creative channel. It's like in like thinking about the future and what could happen, and then for the realization, things just drop in for you, probably more so when you're not trying to figure it all out, when it's just then all of a sudden it's like a Tuesday and you quit thinking about it, and then all of a sudden you have this beautiful insight that comes to you. Is that how you experience it?
I don't know that I could say that's how I experience it.
Tell me how you experience
Um, well, before I do, I want to say this is that empty part, the bridge where there's just white at the bottom of the green triangle, that's the part we can't skip over. That's where we're not connected to the rest of our chart, between the throat and the third eye or the thinking center.
it?
Uh,
Conceptualization.
yeah, conceptualization. Thank you for the English words. I speak so many languages.
This is
Awesome.
the business. That's the business human design lingo. I think in some of the other human design lingo, it might be considered the mind or the ajna. But in the
Right.
business
The way
sense,
I got my first certification, it's the Ajna Center, which
mhm.
is just a mouthful.
And I struggle with pronouncing it correctly. Sometimes I never know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. So I really appreciate conceptualization, because even though it's a big word, Somehow I can say it.
You've grown up saying that word. You know that word. And it's,
Yes.
yes. So the conceptualization center, the little green triangle above, is not connected to that brown box below. There's little white gaps, little white traits that are open. We call that openness. So maybe if Tammy's cat were to walk by at the right time, or her dog, or like the transits for the day or those 12 hours can connect us, awesome. I mean, it's not a bad thing. We might have ideas that we just don't get to act upon. It just might be a lot of talking. Like, for example, 2 weeks ago, um, I had 3 philosophy majors staying with me,
Mm-hmm.
and they talked a lot. And I love that, but they were thinking and pontificating and talking. And I was like, you guys, you're in New York. It's 5 o'clock. You haven't left for the day. Go sightsee. Yeah, we'll get to it. But they really liked sitting and talking. And that to me is an example of those two top channels connected. And like there may be spinning and excitement, but there may not be a decision to take action in one direction. And it's, again, it's not bad. And when there's a chart like this, it leaves room for growth. Like it leaves room for a third person. It leaves room for several people. It leaves room for being different on different days. So
Mm-hmm.
those of us who know, like every 12 hours or so, we may experience something different, which is not an abnormal thing. That's normal. So we might be able to accomplish more in 12 hours, and then the next 12 hours we might be more sedentary or more cerebral. So that's what I wanted to say. I forgot what you asked, but that's what I wanted to say. Right. Ask a manifester a pointed question when they're not ready for it. They want to talk about what the thing is that they thought was interesting. Can I tell you that? So
Yeah, that's
like
totally
a
cool.
kid, like, okay, can we do that?
Hey, we're gonna do this instead. Is it okay? Well, I don't really care. It's fine. I'm gonna do it anyway. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Let's go there.
In that individual channel in the center between the top yellow and the second to top green, there's 3 little railroad tracks, and the center railroad track is what we're talking about, and that's the individual, the pulse. It comes and goes. And it can also be like an experience of melancholy when it's not turned on. Like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And as one of our teachers say, it's melancholy. This is just chemistry. There's
Mm.
nothing wrong. We can't be on with full hose. Like I just see a fire hose on the streets in New York turned on full blast, and kids are playing under the water spray. Like it can't be full and heavy flow all the time. Sometimes it's like that saggy hose and nothing's happening. And that's how, so that channel is a pulse. And taking it back to Jim Carrey, if this is in fact his birth time, he has only one channel or one strength defined, and that is a formatting channel. And again, it is the center one. It is the one at the bottom center. It's the 360. I can't see his chart, but I know it's the 360. Ah, there it is. It's the 360, the red box and the brown box. They're connected by the 360. It's an individual. Again, it's the pulse. It's the pulse. And Tammy was saying earlier, like, hey, he has a lot of abstract in him, which he does. He's got little tails or traits, not a full channel, not a full strength, but potential. But his one reliable strength is here, and it's an individual pulse. It's on or it's not. And he has to go with that flow and that melancholy, AKA depression sometimes. And these formatting channels are also susceptible to extreme depression, in addition to having the pulse be that melancholy thing of when it's off. It's just off, and learning to live with it. And like, I just think it's cool that he, allows himself the freedom of, hey, I'm going to paint for 10 years now. This is great. And I'm going to do, like, that's awesome. I have a only individual channels myself. And I watch myself in cycles going, okay, I'm writing a lot of comedy right now. And then, oh my God, I haven't done comedy for 3 weeks. What's wrong with me? But I'm playing a lot of music. Like, just, if I control everything and get worried about it, it does not help me.
Mm.
So just kind of let the pulse happens when it happens, get good habits and good practices so that it comes like since the arm accident, I have not gotten on stage
Mm.
and I can't be around a lot of people. And I've said I had to cancel some New York comedy shows. I canceled the Louisiana comedy show, but there's a producer who's doing a roast of himself for his own birthday. And he sent me a text going, "So how you doing, champ?" Which really what that means is, "Hey Janet, are you better enough to come roast me?" And I know what it means. And so I just said yes, even though I wasn't ready. So I've been writing material for next week. And I
Mm.
don't feel ready to go on stage, but maybe by then I will. So I'm
Yeah,
just using that as an example of the pulse. Like, even if I don't feel like it, I'm going to set myself up so that I can.
right. You'll be prepared.
I'll be prepared. Yeah. And by next week, it'll be fun. I'm already having fun. I just started writing last night. It's great. I had so much fun. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share about that individual pulse with those central channels.
Yeah.
It
And
can
I
be,
think that some of the things that really resonated the most with me was the circuitry, like the individual circuitry versus the logical, and then the um, abstract sharing, which we talked about Jim Carrey having a lot of abstract sharing. For them, it's really important to enter things just for the experience. Many times we like build things up in our heads, and we want it to be like this way, and then it's not that way. And then you know if you're in a wave, if you have a defined emotional intelligence, which is there, what Jen and I have together here, this little brown box, but when we're separated, we don't have that. If we don't have that defined, so we don't have a consistency. But with the abstract sharing, it's really, really important if you have a lot of that circuitry to enter things for the experience, not for because you expect something to happen at the end, because the law of whatever says that when we expect things, they don't necessarily happen the way that we want them to. And that can be disappointing at times.
that's such a good point. Oh, Tammy, that is so great. Do you have any examples of your own chart and your own abstract traits? Because I know you don't have abstract strengths. You have a lot of, you have abstract strengths. What do you think?
I have logical. I don't have any abstract sharing strengths. I have a couple traits.
Yeah.
Um, but I do tend to enter things for the experience. I go to meetings, I show up, and what happens tends to be what's right. I don't have a lot of, I can't say that in my life I've ever really had a lot of instances where I had expectations before and I got disappointed. But I don't have a lot of abstract sharing circuitry. Maybe
Okay.
seven
Yeah,
traits.
I have some.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I see myself as somebody who enjoys the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also I also have like arrows. Also, my arrows go to the right, the variables, in addition.
All four of them.
No, three of the four though.
Mm-hmm.
Three of the four. And I do like to do things just for the experience. Sometimes I get fixated on, hey, I'm doing all the right things. How come this isn't happening yet?
Mm.
And I go, chill out, man. Chill out.
Yeah, I guess I have felt that sometimes, like I'm doing all the things and, wanting things to manifest quicker than they might be,
Mm-hmm.
but not as much. And like my traits would be down in the, let's see, it looks like I have four. So I have the 46, which would be an abstract sharing, which is about determination. And then I have the 53, which is about beginnings. And that is an abstract and then the storyteller. I could see with the storyteller, not so much as like what you expect, but maybe sometimes whenever I speak in public, I have a tendency to, as a sixth line, I look at things at 50 different than I did before. So I'm going to share the good, the bad, the ugly. And sometimes people take that in the wrong way. And so that expectation, while I'm showing up and I'm doing things without expectations, sometimes they may look at things different than what I intended it to be. So I could see that in my storytelling could sometimes be just misconstrued.
Okay. That was the 53, did you say?
That would be the 56.
All right.
It's
I
up
can't
in
see.
the throat.
Oh, up there. I have no activations up top beyond that. Interesting. Well, I have the same 46 and 53 as you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beginnings, you're good at starting new things
Oh,
in a
excellent. Yeah,
place.
I finished something? No, thank you. And I just attributed that to being a manifester of like, I'm a great starter. And I
Mm,
will finish select things, but I cannot finish everything. I do not have the staying power.
yeah.
And when I have certain family members around, great. Or certain people in the house working, great. But um, I will need a nap sooner if I'm by myself. Like, and the 46 coming out of the identity center, I think doesn't that have a lot to do with the body?
Mm-hmm. The love of the body.
Love of the body.
Yeah.
That I can relate to. I mean, dance, movement, teaching, experimenting, uh, pain, recovery, enjoyment.
Yeah.
And I love going out and not knowing who will be there, who I will meet. And I know regardless, I'm going to have a good time. I always see that as the initiator thing of like, I don't really need anybody.
Mm,
I like to be around the right people, but I will go have a good time. And that's what's been so hard about this. It I've never had a serious injury like this before, where I actually have to stay home and not go out, not go dancing twice a week, not play music in groups of people, like not not walk the city,
mm.
no public transportation. I can't get knocked over. And yeah. So it's just so wild. Um, because I love that part of the body discovery.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that that would be really, really challenging, especially being in New York where it is so hustle bustle busy and, you know, me in the country living in rural Missouri, if I go out, I don't, there's not so many people that I would be bumped into. But yeah, I could see that that would be really hard, really challenging.
Yeah. Just temporary, maybe 6 months to a year. Oh my God. Um, but that abstract thing of like, I don't need a plan. I don't need to know what the outcome is.
Yeah.
And I can also, that thing about the past, abstract relating to the past, like evaluating how things went before, don't really know how it's going to go this time. And that left side, the focus of future planning, um, that's more pinpointed and American
An American.
and American. Like you need to know where you're going. You need to know, you need to have a plan. You need to have a 8-point plan.
Right?
And me with all my
Plan for
right
your plan.
arrows, I'm like, do I need a plan? I have an idea and I'm going to keep working in that direction. And then like I discover like my cousin was like, why are you not planning everything out? I'm like, because I meet the most interesting people along the way and then opportunities come to me, which is why you still think I'm a 4 in terms of the profile, like I'm heavy in the 4s, but I'm a 2-5 in terms of profile. I'm very heavy in the 4s. 4 is a runner up.
Yeah.
But just like, I don't know what'll happen. I don't know who I'll meet.
Yeah. And that's the fun part. That's the fun part. And that's what Janet's talking about is the qualities or profiles. So each trait has a number behind it. So, for example, in my chart, my 59 is my core essence. So 59.4 is that profile. So the fourth line is this influencer that gets their best opportunities through their network. And then on the other side, I have the 20, which is about being present, contemplation in the moment. So the more present I am in the moment, the better. And then that's a 20.6. The sixth is this role model or leader that has different life phases, which I think is so interesting because I think that a lot of people have varied life phases, of different times, but I guess it's just more that trial and error, like living in their first 30 years through trial and error, pioneering the way, like definitely relate to that. And then, so then they go onto the roof for the next 20 years, a lot of times building a family, definitely built a family, actually was pregnant right around that transition time and started my career a lot around that time because really during my 30s or my 20s I was still bumping into things and trying to figure out my path. And then after 50, the sixth line, they come off the roof to share their wisdom of what they've learned in those 50 years. And I can feel that a lot. I actually felt that shift starting to happen in my early 40s when I had it's your Uranus opposition, that shift where I really started feeling like I was being called to something greater than what I was doing. And I can remember talking to a mentor and him being like, Tammy, how can you not be helping people? You help people make their biggest financial decision. I did mortgage loans for 20 years. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. And so I kind of stuffed it down, but it calls you out. You get called out. And then the later I got into my 40s, the more I feel like I reclused. I went more and more onto the roof, kind of disengaged more from my community. And I think that that happens so that you can gain the clarity on your experiences without the external people, people coming in and giving their well-meaning advice, because no matter who you are your own expert. Your life is your life. People can share their wisdom, what they've learned with you, but at the end of the day, it's up to me to make my decisions because I am responsible for my life. Like you are responsible for your life. So that's a little bit about where you find what your profiles and the traits that we're talking about. Janet, you want to talk about your 2-5
I
profile?
do. First, I want to tag on to your six.
Okay.
Because when you were describing being on the roof,
Mhm.
it's like that perspective. It's like being untouchable or less reachable and having like this observation, like you can really self-reflect and see everybody. You can also see yourself. And so as you were talking, I was just thinking of other words to describe it and I didn't know you then, but I've known several sixes and lots of threes. Oh, so many threes. Um,
I would
and
say it's a really being a 4-6, it's really this weird push and pull because the 4 really wants to be with their community, but the 6 is like, nope, I gotta be separate because I gotta learn what I'm trying to learn right now. And so there can be some guilt is the word that comes to me for not staying in touch or around so many people. But my goodness, I mean, I've met thousands of people in my life. I don't even know how many little communities of people around. So when it's time, I pop back in and pop back out. And I think that that's very natural but I also sometimes judge myself for it.
Yeah, that's good you have the perspective to see that, like, because it's what's expected. Like, you're expected to be accessible. Like, oh, we need you. So, but maybe you're more valuable when you do what you're doing, which is to pull away. Um, that's really neat. And how you described your 3 years, your experimental years, those are the younger years before you go on the roof of trial and error. You're a 3 then, just like if this is Jim Carrey's chart, he's a 1-3, and those 3s are experimenting, and it's never a mistake, whatever they make, because it's a learning opportunity. And I know that sounds so very like new age PD. It's a learning opportunity. I just so despise new terminology sometimes. But that's what human design is trying to explain of like, hey, the people who have the 3 in the profile, they're supposed to do it wrong a lot. And that's what makes them the expert later. So if you want to get the perfect accountant, get a 1-3 or someone with a 6 in their chart, like someone who has just seen everything, done it wrong over a lifetime, and then they are the expert. Like Jim Carrey is the expert in his field. I mean, of course, other comedians you can't compare. It's just not fair, but like he has really mastered himself.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
mastered himself, and it's not just comedy, it's through life. And he shares his life with us and his new um spiritual philosophies, and he brings himself to, the Emmys and public parties, and gives what is considered strange interviews, but it's really not. It's just his evolved self of, I've done that. That doesn't work for me anymore. And this is what I've learned. And this is what I've learned. You can do whatever you do, but this is what I see. And I just think that's great.
And he does have a lot of, he has 5 6 line traits too. 8 first line, so that investigator. So that's a big part of him. It's in his profile, but also his traits. He's got 8 first line, 5 6 lines, 5 fourth lines, and then 4 traits that are third line qualities. So that was what I was feeling from him, was some of that 6 of how he has evolved and sharing his wisdom as he's gotten, older.
Mm, he's cool. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad you picked him for today. He's a great person to talk about.
He is a great person to talk about. I think that he's somebody that's been around for a long time, and he's just so creative.
It's so funny that he and Dolly Parton have similar charts. They're not the same, but
No.
there's a lot of similarity in terms of that innovation in their field and longevity in their field, and uh, that drive to the energy resource. Dolly is still going at an advanced age, and
Mhm.
Jim Carrey is a little older than us, and he is, still creative, but and how much they've changed the industry and how many people emulate them, how many other artists use them as a template to copy. Like, I was not a comedian professionally when I was young, but I was always goofy. And so, like, anytime we all walked out of a Jim Carrey movie, we're all copying him. See who
Mhm.
could do the best impersonation of him. That's really awesome. And I love that you shared your 6 story, because your 6 is basically a 3 that gets to a different perspective where people come to you for leadership. Like, I highly recommend Tammy. Like, if you want to get a reading, call Tammy. I'm not going to say don't call me, but call Tammy. Call her. She loves this. We love this. The only reason we're doing this is because we think it's fascinating. Like, we're not getting paid to do the podcast. We're doing it because this is for us. This is our own little thing. We just want to talk about it. And if it helps somebody else along the way, oh, yes, it's great. It's great. Yeah. And some of you will be like, oh my God, why did I even watch this podcast? I don't know what you're talking about. But a few key phrases kind of hit home. I'm doing my dishes while I'm listening to you. Girls are crazy. but like, you don't even know what human design is. What is human design? It's very hard for us to define. Can I read the short little paragraph?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was so thinking that just right now, like, oh, we were gonna talk about that, and here we are.
And we kind of, Dammy and I do it backwards because we're like, we're just jumping into conversation. But, if we were, different planners or whatever, we plan, this is what we say and this is what we do. But like, that's not me. So if it's going to happen, it's going to come from Tammy, but it's not going to come from me. So, in hindsight, I would put this paragraph first, but we're doing it last because it's Tammy and Janet. So what is human design? Human design is a tool to help people see themselves clearly and live unapologetically as their best selves, as their true selves, AKA not trying to be someone else anymore.
Yes, let's just be ourselves. It's 2025.
Yes. And human design explains the 4 energy types. 4? Yeah, there's 4.
Mm.
4. And it gives people an opportunity to experiment with different ways of making decisions based on their chart. Human design doesn't tell you what to do. It's going to be like, hey, man, if this is your chart, play with this or not. Human design doesn't care. Nobody cares. Like, I care about myself because I'm selfish. I'm an ego manifester. I want to experiment. I am the experiment of my life. So is everyone else. But I have such a drive to try. I want to try. And I love helping my clients try to make a decision a different way or observe themselves, observe their aura type.
Yeah, that's stepping out of themselves to be the observer of their life,
Yes.
you know.
And in human design, there's just a lot to it. And those of us who study and practice it, well, it's a game changer for us. It's the education we did not get in school growing
Mm.
up and we did not get at home. This is something that resonated for me, for Tammy, for all of our classmates, for all of our clients. It's something in it that went, there might be something to it. Yes, it sounds crazy pants. Yeah, I totally agree. It sounds absolutely crazy pants, but I'm going to use it in a functional way. You can use it in a mystical way. You can use it as both. I love it. So that's my little paragraph with a lot of side notes as to what is human design. And we're going to
And
refine what is human design. What is human design to you, Tammy?
well, I'm going to use my logical strengths to talk about like what comes together because there's so much talk out there about like this is the way, this is the way, this is the way. What human design does is it actually combines astrology, the Kabbalah, the I Ching, the chakra system, and then it used quantum mechanics to pull it all together and synthesizes it into these beautiful charts where we can like look at it and we can talk about the energy, we can talk about different traits, and we can start to understand ourselves on a much deeper level. That's like 101. Understanding yourself, however you do it, is the greatest gift to mankind. Like when you understand yourself, you can then not take offense to all the things that you may take offense with in life. Number 2, then you can begin to understand the other people that are around you. And I think that that's really where the magic begins to unfold because we, the things in others that trigger us or make us feel like we're not enough, it can be explained in the science. And, we're here on earth to learn to people, to become better. And I think that this tool is that it's a tool to help us to better people.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
If you want to call either of us, call us. If you want to call both of us, we'll both do your chart.
Yeah, that would be totally fun. Yes.
And if you know Jim Carrey, if you're listening, we really love you.
Yeah.
And either publicly or privately, we would love to do your chart, your real chart, if
If
you
it's
want.
different. And
Yes.
if it's the same, we would love to, I'm going to say, have an internet threesome on
Oh
Zoom
no.
to talk about your chart. Not anything geeky, but let's just, the three of us will hop on Zoom and let's talk about let's talk about your life and the traits and the strengths that you have, or the strength that you have, and how that has impacted you.
Yeah, right on. And
Yeah.
who knows who we're going to do next week?
Who knows?
Who knows? We'll keep you posted. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe. Follow us. Let us know. What do you want to see? Who do you want us to do?
Yes.
Who's the next celebrity or public figure you would like us to read online? Thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.